it requires legislation. The Minister for Finance says it requires legislation. Can I ask you, will you correct the record now, and can you indicate when this legislation will come before the House?
Answer.
See, unlike the opposition, we have to consider all issues before we make a final decision. It's after a final decision has been made that we determine the methods by which we progress any issue. In the context of the Dublin Dockland Development Authority, with regard to the Dublin Dockland Development Authority, the government considered this matter. Following on from that consideration, it was decided the format in which this matter would progress. That would be that we would deal with the issue of the introduction of the CNAG's authority under the auspices of that authority to inquire into the Dublin Dockland Development Authority. And the advice that I have been given is this is to be effected by way of an order under the Controller and Auditor General Amendment Act 1993 to be made by the Minister for Finance. And this is the situation. These are the facts that I have to deal with this morning, and Concorde, that is the situation with regard to the statutory instrument. And on the final, on the issue of the legislation, I've been asked to give an update to the House with regard to the work in progress under the auspices of the Minister for Children, Minister Andrew, with regard to preparation for the referendum, and I've indicated that it is expected that the Minister will be bringing a memo to Government around the end of June.
Final comment to help you. I'm sorry. The Taoiseach, I beg to differ with the Taoiseach here. The Supreme Court judgment said, and I quote from the Minister for Finance's letter to the Chairman of the Public Accounts Committee in July of 2009, he said delegated legislation cannot make, repeal or amend any law, and that to the extent that the Parent Act purports to confer such a power, it will be invalid having regard to the provisions of the Constitution. Legislation is required to transfer that authority to carry out the audit of the DWDA by the CNAG's office. Now this apparently, Taoiseach, is an absolute unholy scandal that has been referred to by Deputy Hogan on frequent occasions, by Deputy Rabbit and others on other occasions. Legislation, according to the Minister for the Environment and the Minister for Finance, is required. I'm asking you, as Taoiseach and Deputy Leader of the Government, when is that legislation going to come before the House? Will it be in before the House rises for the summer period?
I'm sorry. The situation is that I am not the line minister of the Department of Environment. I have indicated to you, Deputy, the issue that has arisen following on from the Government's consideration and the questions that need to be answered, which the Minister for Environment has requested, and it's on that basis that under a statutory instrument this transfer will take place. And
will you resume your seat, please? Please. Please. Will you resume your seat, please? Deputy, will you resume your seat, please? You are engaging in disorder on the order of business. Deputy Kelly. Deputy Eamon Gilmore.
I just want to make the point of order. Either the House was misled then, or it's being misled now. And I think the House is entitled to know which is correct.
The Congress has replied to the...
Yeah, but she's not withdrawing the information that was laid before a committee and the House.
Deputy Eamon Gilmore.
Concorde, a couple of matters I want to pursue with the Taoiseach. First of all, I want to go back to the issue that she responded to Deputy Kenny, and that's in relation to the transfer of the information in relation to the children who died in state care, the transfer of the information by the HSE. Did I understand her correctly to say that it is now the position that the HSE will transfer that information and that legislation is not required? If that is the position, then can I inquire as to how that wasn't established before the government took its decision last Tuesday that legislation was required? What has caused the change of heart, and where now stands the legal objection that the HSE raised to the transfer of the information. Secondly, with regard to the reply that she gave in respect of providing protection for people who are running into difficulties with their mortgages as a result of the recession, she said that the government working group on this is going to report by the end of June. Now, for over 2 years, the Labour Party has been seeking a home protection scheme to provide protection for people.
It's more appropriate for the Line Minister this question, not for the Order of Business. We're trying to get some order into the Order of Business here in the mornings because there is a serious breakdown of this order. The question that you're raising now, in my view, should be posed directly to the Line Minister, by way of parliamentary question or some other way.
No, I can't, Corla. No, I can't, Corla. The question I'm raising now, if you had done me the courtesy of waiting until I had asked it, is in relation to ordering the business of the House. My question is this. The Taoiseach says that the working group in respect of the mortgages and home protection will report to government by the end of June. And my question is that since the government proposes to put the House into recess at the beginning of July, when will the House get an opportunity of considering the outcome of that working group? Or will we have to wait until after the summer recess before the government brings its proposals into the House? And where stands those people who will find themselves in situations where they've been brought before the courts for home repossessions in the meantime? With respect to Can Corla, that is a question that is perfectly in order for the Order of Business.